3.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, viewers, welcome to the second part of the program. This morning, Saturday, January the 14th, 2012, we have here as guests with us none other than the patriot Miguell Arrindell. In the first part of the program, Miguel introduced himself and his personal background, his family background, and it's very clear that Miguel comes from a very, very proud traditional St.Martin family, of which we all have reasons to be proud of.
Thank you very much.
Miguel, in this part of the program, we hope to get real, as you always put it, and I have to express my appreciation for you, Miguel, as a young person. You are a very outspoken person. You're very outspoken. You don't hide behind anonymity, right? You say what you have to say, and you identify yourself in the process. And you take on some very, very difficult issues that most politicians, stay far away from because, it's not politically correct for them to discuss those issues. So we really, really commend you for doing that, and I don't want to have to count the number of articles, the number of letters to the editor that you have written already in your young life, Miguel. But anyhow, the reason that we have invited you here on our family's estate this morning, while having our bush tea, and Johnny cake and our really traditional St.Martin setting, is to have a discussion with you on your latest letter to the editor, which we also received. It was published in most all local newspapers, and we ourselves, we received it, and we would like to have a debate with you on this particular letter to the editor. The title of the letter to the editor is Let Us Be Honest with Ourselves. It's a very provocative title, and it basically, you would almost say, it basically challenges us as a people, and basically claims, implies that we have not been honest with ourselves, because if that had been the case, this title wouldn't have been chosen. So Miguel, could you explain to the public the title in itself, and then after that give a short synopsis of the letter to the editor that you sent, because the time is too short for us here to read it completely. So please explain first of all why you chose that title.
The title was chosen for specific with the problems that exist in St. Martin. Most of us, or the electorate of St. Martin, is not being honest with himself. If you look at the problems today in St. Martin, and if elections just passed, and people is complaining over and over about the same problems that have been existing in the last 10 years, which means we know they were there, which means we vote for people that we know they are not going to take care of the problem, so we have not been honest with ourselves. How can someone say they're honest with themselves? You vote for a particular party or a set of people, you know for a fact that a lot of them, they do political correctness, they're not going to fulfill the promise. You tell yourself, I'm going to give them a chance, and you know you're not going to deliver on what they promise. So that means you yourself as the voter accept for yourself to be deceived. So you're not honest with yourself. You see, the world only can change when we look at ourselves and we be honest with ourselves. If we allow ourselves to be deceived, then we can't foolishly say, why is the world in this problem? It's because we allow it.
Don't you think, Miguel, that statement is too general of a statement? In the sense that it in and of itself implies that everyone who voted, was not honest to themselves. Maybe you can specify what you mean.
Yes, I'm glad to specify. Right now in St. Martin, we have a general electorate of 19,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
The word electorate.
You mean the Dutch side
the
of
voter,
the island?
talking about the Dutch St. Martin.
Okay.
And the electorate is the voters who vote.
Yes.
And if you look at the breakdown of people, no matter what minority group they come from, people are not voting for in St. Martin interest. They're voting for their own interest. So when you have a multitude of people, especially from different ethnic backgrounds, with different interests and different purpose, Every individual or every group is looking for their own interest. That does not mean they're looking for the country's interest. So automatically, when you voting for your interest and he is voting for his interest, knowing that in reality the politicians can never deliver because they cannot please everybody, then you are deceiving yourself. Until we come together under a common ground, and now we're going to go more in depth.
But let me stop you there, man. What do you say now to those people who are honest with themselves, who do vote for a country, but because basically they are a minority, that is not basically expressed in the overall result of the election?
I was just coming to that.
Okay.
Pertaining to what I just said, let's take for instance the St. Martin people like ourselves, the native people of St. Martin heritage. I have to be honest with us too. We allow it to happen too. Because way back when I was a young boy, we was the majority here. And we voted and we uphold a system because of only finance, only looking at yourself for interest for finance. We allow our country to be ripped off, be abused, and allow our country to develop in a way that will not benefit us in the long run. We were warned. We see in the past years what was happening. We continue to turn the blind eye.
Some of us.
That's right. I'm not saying everybody, but I believe most of us.
Okay.
Now the reality comes back now that now we are being threatened. So now we're complaining. But for quite a while now, I'll say probably in the last 20 years, most of the people of St. Martin heritage know what's going on.
So that is basically the dishonest part you're talking about.
Yes, because you're not being honest with yourself.
That we knew, generally speaking,
right?
Most people knew what they were doing
That's
was
right.
not in the best interest of
the
That's
country.
So
Of
that
the country.
explains the title of the
Exactly.
Of the letter.
Exactly.
Okay, could you now maybe in a summary, explain the content of that letter to the editor?
Okay. Yes. Okay. First of all, we just come into a new country status, and we have leaders in government, parliament. If you have a parliament of a country, which is the legislative body, and you have a country, and they can make a lot to determine who is the first owners of that country. If the leader himself don't know who he is, or he can determine who is the people of the country, the original people, the native, again, you don't have a country.
Who are you talking about in particular?
I'm talking about the Parliament of St.Maarten.
Okay.
That's what, of course, I'm talking about. Now, how can you build a country and you don't know who are the people?
Okay.
I mean, they're not deceiving themselves, because if you go to any other country and you're saying we the people, and you're saying we're doing this for country, and then we ask you who are the people of the country, and I said, well, I can't determine that. So the question is this: who are you leading? Which people are you representing? Are you representing anybody? Or are your first interest is to represent the citizens, and mainly, of course, the native first, along with others who come after? Or you just there as a leader just to say you represent the people? Because who are we building this country for? And if we don't acknowledge that, again, we are already being not honest with ourselves.
Okay. Okay. So could you
Now,
elaborate more
yes.
on the content of the letter?
The content of the letter, if we go down deep in the letter, and you see, I said to people, how can we have a country with people divided? And I explain what I mean divided. Some people only have interest for their own finance. They're not thinking, no, I don't mind making succeeding in life, but I want all of my fellow patriots of the country to get a fair chance to succeed in life. In St. Martin, we have developed a system called look out for I, the me, and the only I. Forget about the brother. We only speak in country of tongue when it comes to voting, because we need the numbers in. But when it comes to creating wealth and providing equal opportunity, opportunity is not provided equally for the masses of the people. It's only a few of the people. And let me go more in depth now. Specifically when I said we're not being fair to ourselves, I was really meaning talking also to the people and the natives of St. Martin. Because most of those families, the native family in our parliament, is still of St. Martin heritage. And our own people, some of our families sit back and continue to exploit the entire St. Martin. And then again, the electorate, after all these years, see what is taking place? They go ahead again and vote them back in. So then you, as an electorate, is also not being fair yourself. And until we take that personal responsibility to start studying the system and hold people accountable for what they promise, and you won't blame the politicians, they won't change. Because we ourselves, our actions, continues to breed those type of politicians. Because they're saying they like what we're doing. All we have to do is go by each big family, give the leader of that family a little dollar, and you got a whole family. So it's not about helping people, it's about self-interest. So in what you're doing, they are dividing us like puppets so they can stay in power, and the few who vote for them, the main people who they give finance to, or give, what you say, what we call lobby for their interest. The wealth or the opportunity is created for those few. But what about the other masses? And many of us as St. Martin people, I'm talking again, native St. Martin people, know it's happening, see it happening, and they turn the blind eye. Then you don't have country. You see, the country is not the land itself, it's the people. How can you say you love your brother, you see him suffering, knowing that part of what he is going through is because of what you is doing, maintaining a system that deliberately helps some and keep down others? Then you have to blame yourself. That is the love of country. When you love your country, you're looking for each and every fellow man as much as possible to help grow along, because you know until we stand. But if you want to stand divided, you won't have a country. That's why we need nationalistic pride and love of country. A true patriot can never only look for himself, look at his brother dying and do like it doesn't exist. And that's what I'm saying. We have to be honest ourselves. What is taking place in St. Martin is also our fault. That's the reality.
I mean, you say we're not honest ourselves. If you look at St. Martin, right? St. Martin is comprised of so many different, let's say, ethnic groups. You know, the dishonestness that you're talking about, does that only relate to the St. Martin segment of that entire community?
Of course.
Or are others also
definitely
dishonest? And if that's the case, could you explain to the viewers in what sense?
You have a lot of groups. All groups in St. Martin is also dishonest. If you have to look at the breakdown of the different groups, and I don't have to single out everything in particular. There are some groups that are small, usually the smallest groups, with the exclusion of the native people of St. Martin. We are one of the smallest groups, but we don't have no wealth for us. We don't have the opportunity for us to keep growing in the system. In fact, people like me and you, who stand up for St. Martin people, they don't want, because we open people's eyes. So we'll be like black label. And there's other groups outside, of course, some what you call those multinational, being that we are speaking out, so everybody can have a fair chance to write the system, they feel threatened. And so they are going to cater to us. They don't want us to succeed. If we succeed, they feel like they're going to fail. No. We want everybody to fail. But some people, because of greed, like to trample upon others so they can rise faster. So automatically, those people in the fair can look up for themselves. You see, greed always implies upon yourself. You don't think about others. And we have so many, whether it's European, American, even from the Caribbean brothers and sisters, a lot of them is also selfish too. Because how can you come in a country and help you, and you cannot say, you know, I come here since about 50 years ago, and the people I meet today were so wonderful to me and loving. These people deserve to be recognized for their outstanding contribution, helping their fellow brothers and sisters throughout this world. And how many people you see stand up for the native St. Martin people, so they themselves is not being honest? That's the reality.
I would like to ask you about a particular. I'll go through the letter of editor and pick out a few passages that I would like for you to elaborate on. You know, one is, and I quote here, where you say, if political correctness and false image is what we accept and like, then we must deal with the repercussions that is plaguing St. Martin at present? Explain that.
Yes.
more
Okay.
detail.
Let me give you a clear example. And this is well known in St. Martin. When it comes to voting time, money is being given out at the ways to buy your vote, whether it's in a telephone, a BlackBerry, a laptop, other means we block someone. When we, as voters, have this foolish way of, let me take it now because I might never get none again, right there we are involved in corruption, which is illegal by law. And we take part in the process. So what the political parties are doing, they're making you a corrupt person. So automatically, when you enjoy their system, you only have to vote for them because you're taking part in the system. So then you are deceiving yourselves too. So when your actions, when you take part in that system, you are breeding corrupt politicians because it works in their interest. So why should they want to be honest? We are promoting corruption because we take part in it. So by us taking part in this freeness, which is not really freeness, which could be also taxpayers' money, certain interest who put up money to control, when you take part in that interest, you're saying, yes, I'm willing to sell my vote for money. It's corruption. So then, automatically, if that's the way you're in power, everybody gonna continue to do it who want to be a politician. So you're breeding political corruption.
What's the worst case scenario in that case? Because I can imagine some people say, so what? You know,
so what?
Yeah, so what?
As a look at St.Maarten.
Yeah.
What
What are the repercussions? I mean, could you give examples of really serious repercussions if we continue on this track?
I hardly could know in this.
I mean, that would really appeal to people because I can imagine when you write a letter to the editor or article, you do it with a particular objective. You
Definitely.
want to achieve something.
Definitely.
Thought-provoking.
Definitely.
Right? When you talk about repercussions, if the repercussions are that we get a corrupt government and they just maintain the system and so on, and people get accustomed to that. People get accustomed to that, and if there is nothing worse than that, for the people in this whole thing, then I can imagine that certain people say, so what? I mean, they then just accept that situation and they wait for the next 4 years to get what basically is theirs. So what repercussions could you share with the viewers that really could make people say, well, hey, that is a direction that we don't want to go into?
Let me start with ourselves. Let's look at the people of St.Maarten, the native people of St.Maarten. Let's be willing to talk a little bit. Let me explain you. You in your country, the country is developing. You take part in corruption. You didn't keep control. Now today you are a minority in your country. You don't even have wealth. That's a big repercussion because you know what happened? Let me go in more in depth.
Yeah, exactly.
When you don't have a chance to attain success in your country, you become a beggar. Imagine you in your own country, because of corruption, people from outside come in, take what you have to get, and now you become the beggar. If that is not a repercussion or play,
exactly.
if you really believe that is good, then live it. You're going to find out. You only have one life to live. If you look at St.Maarten right now, if you have to measure the poverty pertaining to the wealth, there was no recent study done so far, but I know for a fact St.Maarten has really gone backward comparing to the 80s and the early 90s when I was growing up. We was much more successful business-wise. There was ownership, there was more jobs and everything. What happened is that we didn't control it, and there was also a lot of corruption. What happened is now that corruption now and maladministration take effect now. So the wealth you gain at a time now, it destroys itself. It is depleted because nothing was preserved for the future. So you have a bunch of people coming together, all of greed. So if everybody come greedy, you can have more wealth because everybody going to kill each other for the liberty that there is. Instead of to create, everybody will take all from themselves, and that creates stagnation. And today we are in this situation. Stagnation brings no money for education. The children can't get a decent education, so they can't progress in life. They can't get a job. They don't qualify for a job. And when you get poverty, poverty brings misery. Misery brings death. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it's very important that we try to make it clear to people, because some people might think, hey, those guys are just talking there, and we know what they are saying. It doesn't matter to us, but it's very important for them to realize, that the consequences, are going to come to bite them and their generations to
but
come.
this is my objective. I didn't think my objective. This is my objective. My objective is this. I believe, I always call myself a problem solver. So what I'm doing is I am working on the solution, but I want people to see. I can show you, but I want you to see it for yourself.
Yeah.
Once you outline the problem now, the next step is what we can do about it.
Exactly.
That's what I said. This is the next step. As long as we don't come together and think as us as a country, the real country, of a local of each other, we can make progress.
Could I ask you a question there? In looking for the solution, are you focusing in the first place on the political establishment?
No.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you why. In St.Maarten especially, the political establishment is the problem.
Okay.
That's the problem.
Okay.
The best thing you can do for yourself, I mean, the honest person who can help you is yourself.
Okay.
Start with yourself first. And for you to make success in life, you have to have a responsibility, which I call personal responsibility. You have to look at the things in life, what you will have to do to progress in life. You will have to take certain initiatives in life. And remember, if you are a person that has children like myself, and like yourself, you're not living for you. You're living for generations to come. And what you do wrong will affect all those who are behind.
You'll be held
So you have to, right. So you have to make, when you're living in life, you're not only making a decision for yourself, it's for the future. And that's why what you do now not only will affect you, but will affect the generations to come. So you have to live a wise life and do the right thing. This is my objective. If we can see the mistake we're doing now, and we change for the positive, and the change is back to family values. You see, the country is a big family. Every family has to start being together, love of country. In St.Martin case, it's a bit more in depth, because to get a country, you have to recognize who was there first. As the little St.Martin people like ourselves. Once you acknowledge them,
you always say the St.Martin of heritage as
yes,
well, right?
Right. Because once you acknowledge, they're there from the beginning. Once you acknowledge them, then you can have added value, more people to it. But that's the problem. You cannot solve that problem if you don't recognize the there from the beginning. And if you don't do that, then you're not being fair to yourself neither. That's what I'm saying. It's also our fault. We have to make people respect us. And then once they respect us, then you can also accept them as one of us.
You think that's a reason to why?
And then we can move forward.
Okay.
So what I'm saying, this is really important, because the foreigners should not born here. Automatically they come to Martin in time. They don't understand what I am saying when they start to see what they are going through. So what we got to do, we got to start showing them the right way to build a country, so we can learn from the mistake that was made in the past.
Could I interrupt you there? I think it's a very sensitive issue, but nonetheless, I tend to believe that we have an example of exactly what you're talking about, where a lot of immigrants are now starting to feel what we as natives have been feeling for a long time,
That's a fact.
with their involvement.
That's a fact.
And I give as an example the situation at Pelican, because the situation at Pelican, as far as I understand it, is sad from a humanitarian point of view, but the majority of people, working at Pelican are non-St.Martiners.
That's a fact.
And before that, there were St.Martiners working there.
That's correct.
And they were replaced over time by a lot of immigrants who at that time, never felt for St.Martiners.
That's the repercussion.
That's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean.
That's the repercussion. That's the
what I
plague.
mean. Yeah.
No, at the time it was good for you.
That's what I'm saying.
It was bad for me.
Yes.
You didn't mind.
Yes, exactly.
Now, if you think the right, I could have defended you.
Exactly.
No, how can I help you when I need help myself?
Because now they realize that they are going to be replaced
by others now.
by others who come in and out.
Exactly.
You see? And now they realize why they're screaming and bawling that they're losing their job. We as St. Martin's have lost our country.
For the last 25 years.
We have lost our country because they were part of the whole process
Exactly.
to replace us
So,
in our country.
Back to my point now.
Yeah.
You see, and because we haven't been being faithful to ourselves.
Exactly.
Both they and us
Yes.
look today to be
Exactly.
living the repercussions.
Exactly.
And that is the plague I'm talking about.
Exactly.
If things is done in the right manner, you won't have this problem today. So it might affect me today.
Exactly.
Tomorrow it's coming for you.
Exactly.
That's why if you do things in the right manner,
Correct.
together we can come as an added value and we can attain success, and then we can change that political corruption.
I think it's so interesting what you're saying there, and I'm getting the sign now that our time is running out now. Don't you think that this situation, as serious as it might seem, and it is for all involved, that it is an opportunity for us St.Martiners and people of let's say non-St. Martin heritage to come together and find common ground and to help basically work towards a complete new political establishment? Because I think what has happened over the years, and you basically imply that the politicians have played us out against each other.
That's correct. That is correct.
What do you think about what I'm saying there now in terms of all stakeholders coming together now and finding common grounds?
That's what I said in my letter. If you look at my letter, correct. Because we are the change, you see?
Yes, exactly.
We put them there and we can remove them. And the change must start with ourselves. But for us to make change, we have to have one common goal: love of country first. You can never make success in a country if you don't love the country. You have to have good intentions for everybody in general, and you have to have respect in particular
what
for the people of St. Martin.
Okay, I was just going to ask you that
because it will never work if you don't acknowledge what was here from the beginning.
Exactly.
And once you do that, we can take this country back and we all can prosper.
Exactly.
And then we can breed the good, kind, and the right people as politicians to foster this country to a very economic success.
Yes, I'm glad you bring it up, because I think when we talk about country, many people talk about country as if they talk about let's say a geographical, entity, while basically the main thing of a country is people.
It's people who
When you talk about heritage, you talk about people.
people.
You understand? So I think it's very important.
People and a particular way of life. That's why the heritage.
Exactly.
That's what you media from the beginning. That's
You
what
inherited.
St. Martin heritage.
Okay, we're coming down to the
When
last
when you come to that, you have to respect that, and then once you respect that and you're willing to join it,
Correct.
you accept it. If you don't, you can't have a country.
We're coming down to the last minutes. I'm getting the sign up. I would like to ask you, Miguel, give you the opportunity to address the St. Martin people, with your closing statements.
My fellow patriots, for St. Martin to succeed, we have to come together as one. But to understand each other, one must respect who was there from the beginning. That's the people of St. Martin heritage. We don't hate nobody. In fact, we are loving people. That's why we are in this situation today. If you join us and you accept us as the original, you're welcome to join us, and we all can live and prosper together in Jesus' name. My brethren and my fellow patriots, I love you. God bless St. Martin and its people.
I couldn't have said it better. Listeners, viewers, actually, thank you for being with us. And I would like to reiterate what we have always said from the very beginning when we were established as a movement. Being the president of the St. Martin grassroots people movement, it's my honor and privilege actually to promote and to promote the preservation and the protection of the native St. Martin people and their heritage, as well as to promote the inclusion of all those who love St. Martin and who are of an added value to St. Martin, to our way of life as part of us. Thank you very much, and we hope to have you with us next week again. Goodbye, and may God